Bonjour. So I said it might be easier if I just talk you through today's presentation and just explain the rest of the jobs chapter to you. So I suppose at this stage we've learned all of the jobs in French, and hopefully you recognise the majority of them now. So I suppose just to explain them to you, because you've seen some in the masculine and some in the feminine. In French, most jobs have masculine and feminine versions depending on the gender of the person doing the job. There are rules that apply when you're making a job feminine. You've probably seen a pattern so far, like you'll add an E to make it feminine, or if it ends in ER, you change it to E grav or E, etc. So I'll just go through these with you. It is really, really important that you write all of these notes in that I'm going through with you in this presentation. So write them into your notes copies. So firstly, if you want to make a masculine job feminine, you add an E. Okay, so avocat, avocate, so a lawyer. Change, if the masculine job ends in ER, change it to E grav RE. So boucher, boucher, so butcher. If the masculine job ends in EN, change it to ENNE. So you double the N and you add an extra E. So for example, pharmacien, pharmacienne, so a pharmacist. So add an E to make some of them feminine. If some of them end in ER, change it to E grav RE. If it ends in EN, change it to ENNE. If it ends in TEUR, change it to TRICE. And the only real one I can think of there is facteur, factrice. Or actually another one would be acteur, actrice. So a postman, a post lady, an actor, an actress. Some jobs only have one word for both the masculine and the feminine, but you can put the le or the la before them to show who you're talking about. So for example, le comptable, la comptable. So clearly, le comptable is the accountant male, la comptable is the accountant female. However, there's some jobs that you will only ever put le before them, even if it's a woman doing the job. Okay, so for example, le professeur est Monsieur Laurent. So the teacher is Mr. Laurent. Le professeur est Madame Dupont. So the teacher is Madame Dupont. Even for myself, even though I'm a teacher, it hasn't got a feminine job title in French. It's always going to be le professeur. If you were saying my teacher's name is Miss Harnett, you'd say mon professeur s'appelle Madame Harnett. Okay, so I hope those rules are okay. I hope I've explained them all right to you. It's just to make you aware of them. It's no harm. Okay, so you're next on the page I'm showing you now, you see a little exercise where it gets you to change the masculine jobs into the feminine, or write down the masculine of them and then change them into the feminine. If you get a chance to do that exercise, do. If you don't, it's fine. I'll post up the answers next week. It's just good practice. Okay, some further vocab for you that we don't have written in. You must write this into your notes. Les métiers. There's actually a lot of different words for a job in French. One of them you've seen so far is un métier, so a job. You're familiar with that one. Un travail is another word for a job. It comes from the verb travailler, to work, so that's easy. Another word is un emploi. Think of employment. Okay, so that's easy. So we have un métier, un travail, un emploi. Un poste is a job as well. Often they'd say when people are applying for the jobs, I'm applying for the post of the principal or whatever it might be. So the 4 key words there for a job is un métier, un travail, un emploi, un poste. Often people will use the word un boulot. Un boulot is just a casual work, a casual job. Or un job is another word for casual work. And I didn't highlight it, but at the bottom of the page, it's important for you to know that word. Un petit boulot is a part-time job for a young person. So it's very important that you know these different words for a job. So un métier, un travail, un emploi, un poste, un petit boulot is a part-time job. Okay, so make sure you write them into your notes. Just a few extra bits for you, in case you've been wondering why haven't I been putting in certain words. For example, when I say I am a teacher, in French they say je suis professeur. They don't put the word for a in. Okay, so just to explain that to you. So number 1, when you're talking about someone's job in French, don't use un or une between the verb être and the job title. So, for example, I am a shop assistant. Je suis vendeur, which is so strange because the French are so good to put in their grammar. They leave out the a there before the job title. I would like to become a teacher. Je voudrais devenir professeur. So again, you do not put in the word for a when you're saying someone's job. The second rule is you do use le, la or les before the job title when the job is the subject of the sentence, when you're describing the person doing the action. So for example, where is the waiter? well, then you can put in the word for the. Où est le serveur? So, où est le serveur? Where is the waiter? Because that's the subject, that's what your sentence is all about. The teacher is nice. Obviously, you're going to say le professeur est sympa. So I don't want you to worry too much about number 2, but number 1 is important. When you're saying what job you want to do or what job that you do, je suis professeur, je suis agriculteur, whatever you are. And the final rule then, you can use un, une, le, la, or les if you're using an adjective to describe a job title. So for example, Paul is a wonderful doctor. Paul est un médecin merveilleux. So he is a wonderful doctor. So because I'm using an adjective with the job title here, then I can put the word un before it. He is the best teacher in the school. Il est le meilleur professeur de l'école. So the best teacher. I'm using an adjective so I can put in the word for the there. So I'd really appreciate it if you wrote in those 2 pages of notes as well. Okay. Now, I've just shown you a few examples. I didn't want you to go into the trouble of doing this. So I'll just run through a few of them. You can read through the rest yourselves. Number 1, I am a waitress. Je suis serveur, serveuse, that should be, sorry. So you don't put in the un or the une. Number 2, my mother is an accountant. Ma mère est comptable. You do not put in the un or the une. Let's look down at number 6. Mrs. Smith is a good teacher. Madame Smith est un bon professeur. Because I'm using an adjective, I can put the un in. But just remember that professeur is a masculine word. It doesn't have a feminine. That's why I left it as un bon professeur. And numéro 8. The builders are at my house. The builders. Les maçons, les constructeurs sont chez moi. So I hope that helps helps you to understand that. And don't get too bogged down with it. Okay, next, and I think finally for this video clip, I would love you to do a listening piece. Any listening pieces I've picked out for you this week and next week are really, really doable. So this is from page 318 of your book. So if you can log on to it, it's really, really doable, and I'll post up the answers next week.